Welcome in to the Pay Dirt Profile Podcast. We have a mini-sode. We're going to be doing some player profiles and some breakdowns of some of the upcoming 2020 NFL prospects. I'm here with Kyle. The rest of the other guys can't make it with us this time, but if you're listening, you can find us at the Sounder app. You can also find us Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Castbox, Spotify. And if you want to bring us in somewhere else, then let us know. You can find us on all social medias at the Pay Dirt Profile and our Facebook group, the Pay Dirt Profile Podcast. So we're going to be doing some reviews on certain positions, and we'll be back with you as soon as possible to bring you some additional ones. So we're back here with player profile of Jalen Hurts, quarterback of Oklahoma and formerly of Alabama. This is the last quarterback, at least on my three. We did a breakdown of Anthony Gordon, Jake Fromm, and now Jalen Hurts. We were trying to pick players who may not get as much coverage as we may have liked, or just as a challenge to kind of do a little bit of scouting. So Jalen Hurts is a guy, I mean, you know, he's probably my favorite quarterback in the class, and that's not to say that he's the best quarterback in the class, but he's just my favorite as a combination of a guy who's fun to watch, a guy who has a solid skill set, a guy who has a really strong story, and somebody who has the ability to be successful if being put in the right position in the NFL. What are your initial thoughts on Jalen Hurts, Kyle?
One in two different places. Bama lost his job to Tua, and then transferred and was able to win at Oklahoma as well. Playing differently in a different system, and was able to be successful doing both.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think with Jalen Hurts, I gave him a comp of Tyrod Taylor, on the lower end, a guy who is a guy who's able to be successful, a guy who is potentially a backup quarterback, but in the right system could really, really flourish. And also Dak Prescott on the higher end. I know Dak Prescott is a little bit bigger, has a little bit more arm strength potentially, but Jalen Hurts has plenty of arm strength. He has plenty of ability to throw the football, plenty of arm talent. I think his biggest drawback is being able to make anticipatory throws, being able to throw guys open, seeing a guy's back to you and being able to know like he's going to cut here and throw it into a zone before that guy has even started his break. Those are the things that you don't see very often, but part of it is because of his limitations, and part of it is because that's not how the function of the offense. Similar to Anthony Gordon, it was a very much so a this is your first read. If it's not there, go ahead and make a play, either with your arm or your legs. But he is a guy who takes care of the football. He's a guy who can make plays on the ground for sure. He's about 6'1", about 215, 220. So he's definitely a guy who is strong enough to come out here and run the read option, zone reads, things of that nature to try to manufacture offense. He can run bootlegs and things of that nature. As I stated before, he does have a little bit of issues with throwing guys open, and his accuracy has been spotty on occasion. Overall, I don't think that he's inaccurate. I just think that with a little bit more refined mechanics and the ability to be in a system for more than a year, because I think what people are overlooking, they give guys like Josh Allen and Jordan Love and different players the excuse of not being anticipatory throwers or accurate throwers, and they'll explain it away and then still say this guy should still be in the first round or this guy should still be in the second round, and it's not a big deal for them. But like a guy like Jalen Hurts, like he started as a true freshman. He was in a very limited Alabama offense who doesn't ever like to throw the ball on the field or open things up. They changed offenses. Sophomore, they played in a national championship game. Then they played again, his junior year. this guy named Tua came down, and this guy is going to be one of the top 5 picks presumably in the draft. So it's not like he got beat out by Jake Fromm like Eason did. When people are claiming Eason's a better prospect, he got beat out by a guy who is presumably a franchise quarterback at the next level. So then he goes and plays in another system in Oklahoma. Still doesn't, turn the ball over very much, still is very effective, has 50 touchdowns basically. He's a guy who has tools, and he's a guy who can be successful in the right system. I don't think that he's a guy who is just going to be able to go out and play anywhere. But if you give him a shot and you give him the same benefit of the doubt that you're doing these other quarterbacks that are not, athletic or not, run-oriented types of quarterbacks, if you just take it for face value that this position is changing, you're going to like what you see at least the majority of the time. And he has the intangibles, the great leadership, a guy that you want in your locker room, in your quarterback room. Jalen Hurts can be successful. Like, where do you see him going in this draft, and what teams do you think would benefit from having him?
Like you said, there's teams that have been giving guys chances. He is no worse than Mitch Trubisky, and that guy has been a starter for 3 or 4 years now.
Right.
The comp with Prescott's really good. I'd love to see him go to Dallas more as a copy of Dak Prescott. Sit him this year, let Dak walk, and fill him right in. He's very similar. Right. Accuracy lacks a little. One thing I think that happened in that Senior Bowl was that he got under center again and looked comfortable, and was able to play well and look good doing so. Clearly he can run the ball, and that's how he's going to be successful early in his career. But you look back at what happened at Alabama for him. When they brought him in for his second season, they wanted to play Tua. Oh yeah. It just took him the whole season till the national championship until they just said, "Oh, okay, we got to switch." Right. And they never wanted to go back. And he still. And stayed. Then they opened it up a little bit for him, which I don't know if that was just lack of confidence in him or what, but I think he would be a good fit on a lot of teams. You could see him being the Ravens, backup for Lamar. Seahawks would be nice as a backup. Cowboys, I could see him playing there. There's a lot of teams that he could really fit in and be successful.
I would have loved to see before they signed Tannehill for Tennessee to take a shot on him. Tennessee is run very similarly to Baltimore and how they want to win and how they want to establish a culture. And I think that if Tennessee would have been committed to that style of play, that you definitely could have seen Jalen Hurts be successful there. I think any team where they're going to sit and look at their roster and look at how they want to win and give him a legitimate shot to utilize his strengths. He played, I would say, the LSU game and the Senior Bowl. It very much so looked like he was trying to send a message. Like, it very much so looked, and I know we talked about it a little bit, like, I saw you play all season long, and when things kind of broke down, you would make a play. You would avoid the rush. You would step up and run. But then towards the end of the season, you started seeing him like, oh, this guy's in my face. I'm gonna try to hang back here and try to do different things that I didn't do early on. Seemingly to try to prove to people that he could be a pocket passer.
He was almost trying to play for the scouts. Hey, he can throw. Right. And like you said, in that Senior Bowl, we watched that, and there were multiple opportunities when he could have just gone. Yeah. And it was almost like I'm a passer, which is fine, but you still have to go and win the game.
Right, and if you won and you were successful by running the ball and mixing that in with you throwing the ball, like by no stretch am I saying that he has to be a runner, because that's not sustainable in the NFL and it's never been sustainable. But if you're a guy who has that ability, like you're not watching a guy like Jordan Love with the arm talent that he has and they say, let's go put him in a West Coast offense. Like, that, like, he would immediately be a lesser prospect if you wanted to pair Jordan Love and have him go play in that style of offense, because then you take away what makes him great. You know, it's the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Like, he had to play with Andy Reid, and he had to play with a coach that was going to allow him to be himself and then try to rein him in. He needs to be with a coach who is going to say, okay, we're going to have 2 to 4, maybe 5 designed runs for you in a game. If we get 2 to 4, we know you're going to scramble a couple. So you might run 7 times a game. Okay, at that point, we need to find other ways to protect you to limit those. So that way, when you're doing it, it's within the confines of the offense and you're not putting yourself in harm's way. I mean, I think that he's a guy who could go in, second or third round. I look at the quarterback landscape, and a lot of people have him at, number 5 on the list, behind Burrow. Oh, man, CeeDee Lamb has to catch that. I mean, this game, CeeDee Lamb, breaks open, drops a touchdown, and every quarterback has balls dropped. But in the SEC championship game, or the college playoff, actually, I should say, you have a drop touchdown, and all of a sudden people are going to look at your stats and be like, oh, you didn't even throw, you even throw touchdowns in this game, or you didn't do, he played well. But I mean, I think this is a guy who can be successful in the league, just like we spoke about before. You just have to be in the right offense. So, I mean, that's it for Jalen Hurts. That's it for my 3. Hope you enjoyed the player profiles. First go around, we'll have a couple more coming back for you, 3 more quarterbacks. And until then, we're out.